Sri Konda Vishweshwar Reddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, let me start by saying that the GST is indeed a positive reform and has the potential to enhance our economy of the country and of the individual states. Further, sir, it will enhance enforcement and collection of taxation. Monitoring and enforcement will no longer be the sole responsibility of the commercial tax officer. The industry will take part in this, sir. A tax-compliant company will ensure that all its suppliers are also tax-compliant. Otherwise, the penalty will be faced by the tax-compliant. It has to pay double taxes. The company that cannot recover the tax paid to them through VAT crediting mechanism, and that's why it will ensure all its suppliers also are tax-compliant. So the GST actually, sir, will encourage chains of supply chain mechanism which are tax compliant and self-enforcement, from raw material manufacturer to component manufacturer to end product to distributor to retail. Even the retailer becomes tax compliant because of the clean audit trail of tax payment. Sir, this will also ensure corruption is reduced, sir. Sir, I do believe in the government's projection that 1 to 1.7% increase in GDP will be solely because of GST. However, sir, I have several reservations. Some of them, I think, Honorable Veerappa Moiliji about the Council's consensus versus voting is already expressed. But the GST itself, sir, has a long history. 2006, it was proposed by the then Finance Minister, and they planned to implement it from 2010. Then there was a study paper in 2007. There was phasing out of CST. Then Empowered Committee was formed. And the history goes on. Then in 2013, the Empowered Committee rejected the central government proposal to include petroleum products into GST. And finally, after all these iterations, we are here today once again discussing the GST. One would imagine all these anomalies and issues would have been ironed out, but that is not the case, sir. There are still so many issues which the members have already raised. Some of the issues I have here, predominantly, sir, I think many members mentioned this, the 1% interstate transfer tax. While the very concept of GST is to avoid cascading tax, this 1% itself translates into a cascading tax, sir. Many products are not made in one place. There was a detergent manufacturer who explained his salts come from Gujarat, then they go to Rajasthan, and then the raw material is stored in Madhya Pradesh. So it goes through 7 states. So there's a 1%. This 1% actually translated to not just 7 1%, but 7 1% cascaded, and sometimes it goes to up to 10%. This definitely needs to review it, sir. The 1% tax is actually a legacy of the old CST system in the GST environment. As someone said, sir, it contaminates the purity of the GST system, which is actually very good. The effects on certain industries is very detrimental, sir. Just like the deterrent example I gave, the steel industries made a representation. A Billai steel plant can't sell its steel directly to J&K even if it wanted to a consumer in J&K, because steel is stored, the manufacturer sells steels in hundreds of tons, it gets stored somewhere in Noida or Gurgaon, then a dealer in Delhi sells it to J&K consumer, and because he has to cut it into the sizes, because they can't buy 20 feet long tubes or pipes, so they cut it and then they sell it. So the net effect is almost 4 or 5%. So this 1% is really not 1%. Also, the exclusion of real estate will mean no credit will be allowed for taxes paid on inputs such as steel, cement, etc. So all our buildings, factories, cell towers, power transmission towers, bridges, all these require steel and cement. Also, it will dilute the benefit of GST in this industry, and further, GST is very powerful, sir. It's not just an economic tool. It can also bring about social changes and reduce certain types of crime. Actually, good implementation of GST and covering real estate may actually reduce sand mafia. So I'm a member of standing committee, and we had representations from many industry groups. A couple of them I mentioned, the detergent as well as the steel. But every industry group that approached us, they appealed us, saying that GST is good for us, but these are certain issues. So these need to be resolved. GST does not subsume many products, sir, and it excludes petroleum, cigarettes, alcohol, etc. So GST is very powerful. As I said, it's not just an economic tool to increase. It can bring about social changes. And I'd like to bring the attention of the House to a very sensitive matter. India is fast becoming alcoholic. We have the largest number of whiskey drinkers in the world, largest consumption. Now, being very politically right, they didn't want to encroach upon the states. Many states have revenues excess of 15% of their state annual revenues coming from alcohol related. So they didn't want to touch upon. And states also tax very high on petroleum, on cigarettes and alcohol. I'd just like to focus on this alcohol issue, sir. The high rates are because the states charge high rates because these are harmful products. They cause harm to the people who consume it and those around them and to the environment and to the society. The states should be allowed to charge the special taxes at a very high rate because they control the harm as well as they are also revenue raisers for the state. At least that is the intent. But that is not happening, sir. Smoking, we are the highest among the highest in the world, and alcohol, we are the highest. Besides the issues and the anomalies raised, the bill misses a great opportunity to bring out a social change, sir. Today, the duties on these harmful taxes, I'd like to call them harm taxes. States charge various types of duties and taxes on alcohol. I'd like to call these the harm tax. And these taxes are based on the price of the alcohol. It's not based on the quantity of the alcohol. So a cheap quarter bottle of liquor, the tax is low, and an expensive quarter bottle of liquor, the tax is very high, but the harm cost is the same.
Please conclude.
So very important point. The harm cost is the same. So I think the GST misses an opportunity to change this from a price-based tax to a quantity-based tax. So there's an example, sir. We have the cheapest liquor, very high-quality liquor, 45 rupees a bottle, nowhere in the 45 rupees a quarter bottle. And it's used extensively in a rural area. And we have Prime Minister is talking of made in India. Most of the Indian products, machinery quality is very, very low. But one thing, even Germany imports from us, Brazil imports from us is our distilleries. They make the highest quality of distilleries at the lowest price. So this is not the intent, sir. Rural India is fast becoming. We have made our country alcoholic, so GST misses a great opportunity. This needs to be reviewed. But finally, sir, I would like to conclude saying that our state actually benefits from GST, being a big consumer state. We support GST, but with reservations, sir, unless all these issues raised by various members, including the 1%, and the council consensus versus voting, all these are addressed, we cannot support this bill, sir. Thank you very much.
Shri Jitendra Chaudhary.